Hello, everybody. Welcome again to another live this and every Sunday right here on YouTube. And for those of you who are joining in on Instagram, jump on over to YouTube every Sunday, 4 p.m. on the Iconic Advisor channel. No, I want to welcome everybody for those of you who have been watching from Sunday after Sunday or whenever it is that you get a chance to watch a video. Thank you for your support. Those of you who are new and wondering who I am, my name is Sharnette Clark. I am the Iconic Advisor. I'm a licensed financial advisor by the FSC right here in the beautiful island of Jamaica, where we speak financial planning, generational wealth, tools that are able to help you achieve those dreams and those goals, and of course, to leave an inheritance for your children's children. Now, please go ahead and share the live right now. Those of you who on Instagram, those of you on Facebook, and those of you who are here on YouTube, just go ahead and share important information every time that is shared here. And today I'll be going over the time because I have a very special guest with me today. You know, when I'm alone, it's about 15 minutes. When I have a guest, it's about 30 to 45 minutes. Sometimes I have to bring her back on. We had her before, and I'm so excited about having her today. Excited for you based on the information that will be shared here. Just make sure, guys, that you are respecting each other's spaces. Make sure that you're sanitizing, washing your hands, watching your social distancing. And for those of you who have taken the vaccine, kudos to you. You have done your due diligence. And for those of you who have not, kudos to you too. You have done your due diligence. And I believe that we just need to respect each other's choices. But make those choices for yourselves and your family. And for those of you who think, whatever the conspiracy theorist, I was there skeptical. But again, financial advisor, not a medical doctor. So we're here to talk about pension and retirement today. And of course, I have brought on my very dear friend. Met her a few years ago, one of the courses that I was doing for my designation, which, by the way, I told you guys in a previous live that I got it. Finally, FSCP designation. 4 years, and I'm done. No, this lady, I met her in my retirement course. She was invited by our facilitator just to speak on general terms and the practical terms as it relates to pension and retirement, and of course, taxes as it relates to the NIS, NHT, the benefits, and I enjoyed it thoroughly and thought this would have been an important information to share with my audience, prospects, and clients. Those of you who are on Instagram, you won't be able to see her. So I'm inviting you onto the YouTube channel to make sure that you're able to ask your questions, you're able to see her and to hear her directly. So I have pinned the page for you at the bottom of the screen. So go ahead and join her there. Join us there, rather. And you also want to share the page. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, this lady started in the industry from 1985. I believe she is well qualified to speak to us, and she is no other person from Solid, of course, Insurance Brokers Agency. I hope I didn't get it wrong again because she beat me. Let me just make sure so I get it properly. So it is Solid Life and General Insurance Brokers Limited, and she is a pension consultant, of course. I'm happy to have her, always honored to have her, and also to learn while I'm also educating you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the one and only Magdalena Cooper Denise.
Thank you so much. You need to also tell them that when I started in 1985, I started at LOJ, which is now Sagicor. So,
Don't go and tell them all your business, but go right on ahead.
what a history. And also, you can say that Sagicor is now into the generational wealth aspect of life for Jamaica, and succession planning has continued. And we can learn a lot from that. Yes, yes. So before we get into the session, I want to just make a quick opening remarks. Is that okay with you?
Sure, go right on ahead.
All right. So what I want to say first of all is that most people in Jamaica, when they're looking at retirement financial lifestyle planning, they don't have a clue about the names of the plan that they're in, except for the ones that are required by law, like your NIS and your NHG. Even then, they don't know. But retirement financial lifestyle plan requires a high level of personal knowledge and understanding of the plans to which you are a contributor, and also the ability to communicate the benefits for each plan in which you are a contributor. And I think that's important for us to know, and I think that's what you really want to do here. I
Right.
am just looking forward to the day when I meet everybody, and out of 5 persons, 4 people can tell me all the names of the plants as it's legally named in Jamaica. I
I'm
don't
the
want to hear
oldest.
about. I want to meet 1 in 5 who don't know, so I can spend my time with that one. But I don't want to spend my time with 4 and only one knows. So I need to have that 4 in 1, and I'm really hoping that one day, very soon, there'll be at least 80 to 90% of Jamaicans, just like in the US, who are calling the names of the plant correctly as it is stated in Jamaican law. Because when you don't know that, then what happens is that you lose benefits. I'm also going to, in my opening remarks, I'm also going to say this. Everybody in their homes have a holy Bible. Yes, a Bible, whatever version you want. But very few homes have a hard copy of the laws of Jamaica.
I don't yet. I still
Yes,
need it.
and I tell them I've told you about it, so they don't think it's new. But if
Yes.
you so if you don't have a hard copy, you can go to www.moj.gov.jm. And so what we need
Let
to
me
do
go
is
ahead with that. www.moh.
MOJ,
Mhm.
moj.gov.jm. And MOJ
Awesome.
stands for Ministry of Justice. You see, when you have some knowledge as it states in the law, it's easier then to communicate with people like myself, because then I don't have to go back to the basics every time. You can say, okay, Magda, what does this aspect mean? Or what does that mean? Or I noticed that you talk about vesting and it's not in the law. Where is it coming from? So I can then
Mm.
bring those things up. So it's important that we go and we read the legislation in both the Income Tax Act and the Pension, Superannuation Funds and Retirement Schemes Act. So I hope that your audience are able to see that and be able to go and act on it. We cannot, and it means, forgive me, but I'm going to stress again, we cannot continue with another generation of poor people when there's so much money in Jamaica.
Yes, yes, yes.
It
Um,
just doesn't make sense. You know,
I
and
just
one
want
of
to make
the
sure right now that we
continue with another
save.
generation of poor people when there's so
Right.
much money in Jamaica.
Yes, yes, yes.
It just doesn't make sense. You know,
I
and
just
one
want
of
to make sure right now. Making sure that I'm saving it, sharing it on Facebook.
okay, okay. So I think, as you spoke about the person who died, we should have agents who can help with the distribution phase and claiming benefits. In the same way, we have agents who help with buying a plan or buying insurance or whatever. What do you think, or what does your audience think? If they think what I'm saying makes sense or not, because many families struggle, don't know where to go, what to do, and they then go to the bank and take out the money, not realizing they could have got the money from the benefits of the deceased person. So
Right.
it's a burden on my heart. So I'm always tell them I'm always willing and able to participate in these kind of programs, because it's a burden on my heart, and I want to see people really do better in Jamaica. Jamaica is a very wealthy country. It is not the wealth that's the problem, it's the management of the wealth. So over to you now. You can question me, because I can talk until tomorrow morning, right?
Yes, darling. So I think I'll ask you the questions that I know have been pressing. Um,
Yes.
we speak. We're gonna actually name the products for them later on. But what is retirement?
Okay, retirement in itself is a word that if you ask most people, like, when does retirement financial lifestyle planning start? They'll tell you at the first job. So they get their first job at age 30. What happens? Right? So
Exactly.
what is retirement? It's actually, I prefer to put it as retirement financial lifestyle planning, because retirement planning requires a financial aspect which matches your lifestyle. Nobody can tell you what your lifestyle is, but you have to have income to match that lifestyle. So, for instance, one of the things that happened during this COVID period is that a lot of people lost their jobs, but they didn't have that amount of capital put aside to give them an income for at least 2 or 3 years, and a lot of them are suffering today because of that. So it's retirement really occurs upon the happening of three life events. And what are
Right.
those three life events?
Disability, death, retirement, of course.
No, you forget it.
Hold on.
No,
I got it wrong. Disability is one.
yes,
You're quizzing me again. And I know death
yes,
is one.
yes.
Let me think about the other one.
Let me help you. Shall I help you? Shall
Yes,
I
you
help
should go
you?
ahead.
Old age.
Then no, then it me call retirement lady the news.
Yes. So you can't have retirement. You can't have retirement equal to retirement.
Yes, so
And
it's old
that
age.
is where, right, and that's where a lot of us make the mistake. We forget
Right.
that three life events determine that you're retired. And those three life events, the reason why it's important to know them and be able to flow off of your lips is because of the fact that those are three times in your life when if you need an income, you can go and claim it.
Right,
That's
right.
the reason for it, you know. So it doesn't take you back into a state of poverty, but helps you to continue your lifestyle. And that's why everybody needs to know the definition of retirement.
Awesome. Those of you
Yeah.
on Instagram, I have pinned the page at the bottom. I need you to go on to YouTube now, which is the Iconic Advisor. You guys need to, if you're on my Facebook page, the link is right there. You join Magdalena, who is a pension consultant. Jump on. I went onto Instagram, so you're able to jump onto YouTube. So I want you to get off Instagram, jump onto YouTube. You can place your question there. And we have just started. I have a couple more questions for her, guys. And I'm sure I have to take her back on this week. But if you can watch today or watch the video again, I'm sure you'll appreciate the information that is shared. Yes, Lady Magdalena.
Mhm. What's your next question?
So my next question is, okay, we spoke about what it is, but does or should retirement financial and lifestyle planning include the principles for building personal, family, and generational wealth?
Yes, because once you get into retirement financial planning, and I really want to also change that term around the world. I don't want
Yes.
to I don't want to put it only as retirement planning. I want to put it now as retirement financial planning because
Mhm.
it's because you will need an income in the event of
In the event of disability, death, and
yes.
old age.
Right. So because you're building capital for that period of your life, it means then that you have to understand that you have certain responsibility towards accumulating cash,
Right.
accumulating capital. I don't like to use cash, I like to use capital, which will provide you with an income for the rest of your life. Now, when you work with an employer, are you guaranteed an income for the rest of your life? When you work with an employer, ask your audience so your audience can answer
Yes.
this. When you work with your employer, are you guaranteed an income for the rest of your life?
Guys, can you
No.
answer that question?
Anybody? No, you're
Not,
not.
not seeing them answer the question.
Yes, you're not guaranteed an income for the rest of your life. But when you participate and contribute into a retirement savings plan that's approved under the laws of Jamaica, you are guaranteed an income for the rest of your life. So that's really how I'd like to give a response to that question. If you want me to clarify further, let me know.
All right. So not seeing anybody saying clarifying. Hope they will. What is the retirement financial and lifestyle planning? What is it really?
Okay, as I said before, it's accumulating capital, but it's also knowing the rules of each
Mm-hmm.
plan.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't mind me, I'm going to bring in the plans. Like NIS has its own legislation,
Right.
NHT has its own legislation, superannuation funds have its own legislation,
And they
retirement
approve.
schemes have right approved superannuation funds and approved retirement scheme. If you work in the public sector, it has its own legislation. If you're a member of the tourist industries retirement savings, it has its own legislation. So it's all about retirement financial planning. It's all about knowing where to save, how to save, what are the income tax implications, what is the amount you can do, and how you do it, and how often you should do it. So for instance, I want to ask you this question. What is the number of years between 18 and 65? I'm
Ah,
going to have to get a calculator, right?
about 43 years.
18 and 65?
Hold on, 40, 18, 65. Oh, Lord. Minus
47 years.
47. Okay. The
Yes, right.
math, yes.
What's the number of years between 18 and 70?
That's going to be more. That's going to be 47 plus 5. Mm.
Yes, 52. 52 years. So can you imagine that we're given that period of time to save? How long did it take the children of Israel to go from Egypt to Canaan?
About 40 years.
Right, and look at how much time. But
And
in
how
some
many died?
right, because they disobeyed. Yes, because of disobedience. So that is why a lot of people end up in retirement, not being financially secure because they don't know the rules, they disobey, and then they say, "Boy, the government bad, the employer bad." It's not that. It's you need to know when to start. So, for instance, one of the admonitions I'm going to give to everybody who's on the call today is that if you have a child, or if you know anybody in your community as a child who's turning age 18 this year, take them straight to NIS to enroll and get their NIS number and start contributing the flat rate amount, because there's a flat rate amount for both helpers and anybody who's not working who can contribute.
Yes.
And it takes 10 years of consistent contributions to qualify for at least a benefit, an income benefit. So it is well worth knowing those details so that you can get the benefit. So we're not just only talking about NIS, and we're talking also now about drilling down now to what are the guidelines, what are the rules. 18 is the guidelines and rules. Why? 18 is when the Jamaican Constitution says that you become an adult and therefore you can contribute to these plans. In some other islands and in the UK, if I'm not mistaken, you can start to contribute from age 16.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, and some of them even go down to age 14 in the Caribbean islands here. So again, that is why if you leave Jamaica and you go anywhere else, the reason why we're doing this is to teach you the basics. So if you go to live anywhere else outside of Jamaica, you know the basic principles are, and therefore you can now get the benefits no matter where you go. We must also remember that retirement financial life along that journey, nobody knows where you're going to be for all that time. So
Right.
there's a principle of coordination of benefits. So if you work in Jamaica, you work in Timbuktu, you work in Africa, all these countries have to have these social security benefits. All these countries. So you must know now that when retirement comes, how am I going to get my benefits from Jamaica? How am I going to get my benefits from Timbuktu? How am I going to get my benefits from Africa? Because the world is familiar with these things. You
Yes,
are
it's
not.
aligned with that. It's just here we haven't
Yes.
taken it seriously.
That's correct. That's correct. We haven't taken it, and a lot of people have lost benefits. And the reason why I'm bringing that up as well
Are
is
not
that,
aware of the benefits that they have. No, I
yes,
know you answered
before,
that.
yeah, before you move on though, the reason why I'm bringing it up as well is very important for us to take this to heart today as well, because during this pandemic, a lot of people are dying, a lot of people are disabled, and a lot of people are getting old. Now, why am I saying that? If you look at the definition for baby boomers, what's the years they were born to be a baby boomer?
After 1964, is it?
1964 is the end, but where does it start? Let me help you.
1938?
No,
I'm trying to remember.
1946. 1946 to 1964. So don't forget, the baby boomer is the largest generation that was ever done in the last few years, in the last year,
Living
last
longer.
100 years. Yes? And so what is happening is that when you're a baby boomer as well, if you don't understand that, you can end up losing benefits. If your family doesn't understand that, you can end up losing benefits. So it's very important for us to understand the age implications as well as when the benefits are payable. Yes, go ahead.
I told you she was the expert. Pension consultant Magdalena Cooper. I brought
Yes,
her on before, had to bring her again because as a financial advisor, I have to be well rounded in the information and also pass it on to the clients to get
yes,
them started. If not, their children generation, we're speaking about
that's
baby
right.
boomers again. and that's something that we have read in magazines and don't think it's
Yes,
relevant to us, but it
it is.
is. For those of
It-
you on Instagram, I have pinned where I'm at for you the Iconic Advisor page on YouTube. If you want to be in this discussion, jump onto YouTube. You can ask your question. I'm here with pension consultant from Solid. Let me get it correct again.
Solid
From Solid Life and
life.
General Insurance Brokers
Yes.
Limited. Magdalena had her before. We're two different companies, but she has a wealth of knowledge when it comes onto pension. And if it is that you want to have a well-rounded financial portfolio, this is where you start from 18 years. And
Yes.
yes, if you're past 18 and you haven't started yet, it is never too
Too
late.
late.
So I've been in
Exactly.
the industry for 8 years. She has been in there from 1985. Now, this is a person to stick close to and to get the wealth of knowledge from. Now, while we continue, Magdalena, I know you had mentioned them before, but I want to ask a question for the benefit of the audience. What is our or are the names of Jamaica's approved retirement savings, which are governed by legislation?
Very good question. Thank you so much for that. And I want everybody, if you don't have pen and paper, get your pen and paper to hand and take this down. Because it's important that you know this, because when the program is finished, you can go online to www.moj.gov.jm and you can look up the legislation. You can print it off if you want, or you can go down to printing office and get copies of the legislation and keep it in your home like a Bible, so that your children and grandchildren can read what is there now. A lot of legislation has been amended, but it doesn't matter. The important thing is that you have it. Now, so let's
Right.
start off. Yes, so let's start off with, I usually like to start off with the foundation. You cannot build retirement planning without understanding the foundation. And so, what are the foundation benefits?
You have the
NIS and
yes,
NHT. Now,
yes,
NIS pays a benefit in the event of disability, old age, and death, but it also pays a whole lot of other benefits. Like it does the PATH program, if I'm not mistaken. It gives you the JADEP card for people who are retired. It does a funeral grant. I mean, it just does a lot. Why? Because of the fact that in NHT, in NIS, I should say, you cannot get the benefit until,
you have is either disability, old age, or death.
yes, or if you're a part of the PATH plan. So
Yes.
you can't get up one morning and say, I think I put some money down at NIS and let me go collect it. No, 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 no. You can't collect. And the reason for it is when you don't build capital, you can't get income.
Exactly.
When you don't build capital, you can't get income. And that's the reason for it. And it's a guaranteed lifetime income. So there's NIS, and the legislation for it is the NIS Act
70.
1966.
Hold
No,
on. Yes, yes.
1966.
66. Yeah.
1966, yes.
NHG 76.
NHG 76. So you can see then that if you didn't start, if you were a baby boomer and you didn't start in 1966, more than likely you may not get the maximum benefits. So that's why it's also important, even now that the legislation has been in for all these years, that you encourage your children to really start to put in the to start to make the contributions. Also, NIS started after independence.
Yeah, which was, yep,
Yeah,
4 years late.
1962, right?
Yes.
1962. So it started after that. Now, NHT does the same thing, provide a benefit in the event of disability, old age, and death. A lot of people are unaware about that. But NHT also provides you with the benefit for housing, and housing is a critical part of your retirement financial planning. Critical. In
Yes.
fact, in fact, I implore my young clients, stop spending the 7-year refunds and save it up to go and buy your home. So you must be looking at buying your home as well. Then you have, and that's the NHT Act, as we said before, 1976.
76.
Then,
Mm-hmm.
yes, and then you have now superannuation funds or approved superannuation funds and approved retirement schemes. And the approved superannuation fund was established in 1956.
Yeah.
In 1956, 1 year after the income tax came into effect in 1955. Isn't that
Right.
amazing? So you
Yes.
look at,
Amazing. Yeah.
yes, amazing. And we haven't studied these things. We haven't talked about it. We just are saying, oh, the pension plan, the pension. No. When you come in to see me or Shernette, you're going to come to see us about a superannuation fund or retirement scheme. Don't come to me and tell me, say, Magda, you know, well, you can tell me anything about my pension plan. Me just tell us, listen, go back, get your documents, come back and see me because we can't help you. Why?
Yes.
Because you have to know the laws and the rules and the plan documents that govern it. So, for instance, in a superannuation fund, which is in Section 44 of the Income Tax Act,
Act.
and
Yeah.
Section 4 of Income Tax Act 955, and Section 4 of the Income Tax Amendment Act 2008, you will find in there that it says that the plan was established, really, the superannuation fund for employers. When you look at the rules in the Income Tax Act, they established for employers with 10 or more employees. And then in 1986, I think it is, Section 44A in the Income Tax Act 955 was established to allow individuals who are working and who are self-employed to participate in their own retirement savings plan. Now, the issue you have with those two plans, the main point you have with those two plans is that those two plans provide a contribution benefit based on the principle of being tax deductible and tax deferred. So what it means is that when you contribute to those plans, even if you contributed via a bank account, you must go the following year and claim your tax benefit.
Taxes. Yeah.
You must claim it because when you don't, you end up with double taxation because the income tax will have no time to write you to say,
They
oh,
don't want
I
that.
noticed,
They're
yeah,
not.
I noticed you
They're
didn't
not
take
for
it,
you
the
to
tax
give back.
deductible benefit, please send it, and then they send you a letter next week. Did you forget? No, they're not going to do that. So you have to know the rules, and you have to, and that's why you need financial advisors like Shonette and myself. I'm also a licensed financial advisor, by the way.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so what I'm saying to you, go through Shonette. So what I'm saying to you is that when you know those rules, you can do it very well. The Income Tax Amendment Act came about because when the superannuation fund started, I'm going to short it by superannuation fund and retirement schemes as opposed to approved superannuation funds and approved retirement schemes. When those plans started, in particular the retirement scheme, you know what was the contribution rate or amount in the retirement scheme?
I have no clue.
It was $6,000 a year.
Oh,
Where,
wow.
right. Whereas in the superannuation fund, it was a percentage of your pay, up to 20% of your pay. So what the Amendment Act in 2008 did is it brought the two of them in line with the
Right.
contributions.
Of
So
the
in both,
percentage.
right, so in both the superannuation funds and retirement schemes, it's a maximum of 20%. And if the employer puts in less than 10%, which is maximum under the law, then the employee can put in the additional amount, and that
To
applies
add
to
up
both.
to the
Oh,
20.
add up to 20, both of them, but the employer cannot put in more than 20. So it is
Mm-hmm.
important to understand that. As you noticed earlier when I spoke about the percentage, the reason I said the percentage is that, I remember doing a presentation with a company some years ago, and I spoke to them about the staff, about putting a percentage because the employer allowed me to go in. And of course, another company, they went and sat with another company specialist, and they said, no, man, you can put in $3,000 a month. Well, the man has only accumulated about $500,000 because his pay kept increasing, but the $3,000 remained level. So he cheated himself out. So the percentage, if you are paying a flat amount right now, any retirement savings plan for the private sector with a superannuation fund retirement scheme, I beg you tomorrow, not tomorrow
But
morning,
check
Wednesday morning,
Wednesday
go and
morning.
change it. Go and change it. Because when you do that, as your pay goes up, the amount doesn't go up because you
It
are contributing
remains
a flat amount, as opposed to if you're doing a percentage. I've had
percentage.
clients like even office attendants who've accumulated over $2 million within a very short space of time. And when the pandemic hit, they have an income coming to them. These are the people who can't buy nothing because they're doing a flat amount.
Right.
Yes, so it's important to understand those rules. Um, so once you understand those in the, and if you look at the NIS and NHT, the contribution is based on a percentage. It
It's a
is
percentage
not
of your income, yes.
Yes, it's a percentage. It's only in the helper and the gardener or it's of a child who's not working that you get this flat amount. But as soon as they get a job that allows them to put in the additional amount, they can put it in. So you have
Right.
the NIS, you have the NHT. The NHT though only gives a benefit as a lump sum payment. So if you take, so this is how the NHT works. It looks at the amount you have contributed when you started till the date when you are claiming, and then they subtract from it the 7-year refunds that you took. And that is the amount that they give you as a tax-free because contributions to NHT is tax-free. But
Right.
contributions to NIS, superannuation funds and retirement schemes are tax deductible and tax deferred. So I'm going to put the question out and they can still answer me when I'm talking. What is the difference between tax
Tax
deductible and
deducted and tax deferred.
contributions versus tax free? Anybody wants to give that answer, you're welcome to it. In fact, I'm going to go on to the next question to see if anybody gives that answer. And you can
Come
tell me
on,
what's
I'm seeing comments in the section, not the response yet. What's the difference between tax deferred and tax deduction? Anybody knows?
No. That's not the question. What's the difference between tax deductible and tax deferred versus tax
But
free
oh,
versus tax free contributions? What's the
so
difference
tax
between
deductible, tax defer
no,
versus tax free
right?
contribution.
Tax deductible and tax deferred is the same, refers to the same contributions. Tax free refers to the next set of contributions. So
Not seeing a
let's see
response
what.
yet. In the meanwhile, the answer I'm seeing someone asking, what is the flat rate for the 18-year-old at NIS? I don't.
I believe it's $100 a fortnight, if I'm not mistaken. I'm seeing it coming up on my screen.
Well, I
I,
put it
I
for you
believe,
to see the question. Yeah.
yes, thank you. I believe it's $100, but you can check it out. And even if it's $100, I'm sure that your 18-year-old is getting pocket money. Let them put that money aside and save it. Yeah.
This other question here is, what if the 18-year-old is not working? Can contribution be done? I think we answered
Yes.
that.
Yes. Good question. Good
Want to
question.
welcome everybody again. Those on Instagram, join the YouTube channel, which is the Iconic Advisor channel now to be live in this discussion. Thanks everyone for being here. I'm seeing Paula here said I'm paying 1%, no volunteer. Can you pay 1%? I thought the minimum was 5%.
No, the minimum. You see, that's another thing. People don't know that depending on the plan that you're in, the rules allow different levels of contribution. So you will find in a superannuation fund, the minimum contribution is usually 5% for the employee. In a retirement scheme, you can go as low as 1%. I think the
Wow.
person, I think the person is talking about a retirement scheme. Am I correct? Can you ask a person to respond? Because she couldn't be
Respond
talking.
to that.
Yes, she couldn't be speaking about a superannuation fund. It would have
Right,
to be a retirement scheme. So
right.
if
I'm not.
and again, she didn't quite use put back up the question that she said again. Let me read it. I am paying a 1% now volunteer. What is a full volunteer percentage? Now I don't know what she's talking about, but I have an idea that what she's saying there, again, language is very important. So what she's supposed to say there is that I am contributing 1% to an approved retirement scheme or superannuation fund. What is the maximum contribution rate to the plan? And so I can say to her, okay, the minimum is 1% and the maximum is 20% if the employer is not contributing. But if the employer is contributing, whatever you are contributing plus the employer cannot be more than 20%.
She said yes, but Paula, what are you responding yes to? So we have to be specific so we can answer you
Right,
correctly. So
right.
you probably want to word that question over so we are better able to respond.
I thank
Those of
you.
you hi
Wait.
on Instagram, jump on over onto YouTube, the Iconic Advisor channel. You want to also share, guys, with your friends and your families,
I
and
am
have
so
them jump on.
Yes, I'm so glad you said and tell her we're not being rude. We just want to help her to understand the specific and the language. I'm so glad you said be specific because that has been a problem for many of us, and as a result, we lose benefits.
Mm-hmm,
So it's
mm-hmm.
very important to be specific. And I'm glad she asked the question the way she did, but she can now restate it based on how we are now educating everybody.
Educating, right.
Yes,
I'm
and how
sure
to
she
state
said
it.
public sector. Yes, that is my question. She probably got her response already, but also for the benefit of those who are watching, Paula, you probably could reword your question.
Yes.
Public sector, I don't think
Okay.
answer.
That's a very good one because in the public sector, they have now started to make the public sector pension plan. You notice what I said? Public sector pension plan, which has its own legislation, which is on
Mm-hmm.
www.moj.gov.gm. In the public sector plan, they have now started to make the plan a contributory plan. Prior to that, it was a non-contributory plan. So if that is what they're saying she can put in as a minimum, then fine. But she needs to understand as well, go back to the office and ask the persons who are really looking at the contributions to say, ask the question, how does that impact that 1% on my final benefits? Will I get less? Will I get more? What do you suggest is the maximum? Because I really don't have the information right now in terms of what's the maximum you can contribute as a public
Right,
sector
right.
employee. But because I know the legislation was just trying to be put together, so it's important that she goes back and asks that question, the question specifically to her HR or whoever is in charge of the plan. I like that question. Sorry, I like that. Sorry.
She loves the question. She said contribution is the word. So she
Yes,
wanted, yes.
yes, yes,
Awesome. Thank
yes,
you for the question, Paula. So I'm also
yes.
learning from the questions that I'm able to respond. But hey, guys, I rock on Magdalena when I am at a stumbling block. I am not afraid to learn or to be
Yes,
trained or to be educated on information that I am not acquainted with or may not have enough. And that's how
yes.
you learn. That's why I brought her back on. And yes, I call her a messenger sometimes. But of course, no one answered the question about the tax deferred or
No,
deductible.
tax deductible and tax
Tax
deferred
deferred. No one has answered that.
and tax free.
And
What's
some
the
persons have
difference?
joined after, so
Okay.
I don't know.
All
But
right.
you probably want to.
In the interest of time, let me answer that question. The thing with tax deductor and tax deferred is that in order to understand it, you have to understand how your pay slip is designed. If you don't understand how your pay slip is designed, then what I'm going to say may not make sense to you because most of us, when we get our pay slip, what do we look at? The
The
net
money,
pay.
how
The
much
net
coming in,
pay.
and at the end,
Right. We don't know.
what's
We don't know
left.
what we don't know what all the different deductions mean. So for NIS, superannuation funds and retirement schemes, the contributions to those plans are tax deductible and tax deferred, which means they come out before taxes applied to your pay. And then after that, in terms of looking at how your pay slip is designed, after that, the income tax threshold comes out. Then there is the tax payable. Then you have NIS, which is tax free. So in the accounting world, the tax deductible and tax deferred contributions comes out before tax, or the accountants would call it above the line, and the
Yes.
NHT, yes, and the NHT would come out below the line, which is after tax has been come out. Now, when you look at the tax deductible and tax deferred, when you make contributions to these plans, NIS, superannuation funds and retirement schemes, what it is saying, no, it's not net pay at all. Paula.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so that's what you look at, right, Paula? Your net pay. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. We all do that. So when you look at the tax deductible and tax deferred contributions for NIS, NHT, no, not sorry, NIS, superannuation funds and retirement schemes, and I don't know if the public sector is doing the same thing. That
Yeah.
has bothered me because I am not sure. So whoever asks that question from the public sector, you need to go back and ask if the contributions, if the Income Tax Act has been amended to allow the public sector contributions to come out before tax, because you don't want it coming out after tax. Because what happened is that when it comes out before tax, you get the tax deductible tax deferred benefit, which means the benefits come out before tax. And then when you get the income in the event of disability, old age, or death, the income is then subject to tax. But when you get in that income, the threshold might be different, might
Right.
be higher. So
Maybe
therefore,
higher.
you may end up paying no tax at all. So it's very important to understand that term, tax deductible and tax deferred. It helps you to plan better, contribute better, and be able to maximize your benefit. Yes. And
Wow,
for
that's
tax
a
free,
load. That's
yes,
a load.
and for tax free, let me just come on and say for tax free, what tax free is that, as I said before, the contributions come out are paid after tax. Or in the case of life insurance, the premiums are paid with after tax dollars. And when you get the benefit, you pay no tax.
Yes, Magdalena.
You pay no
No
tax.
tax,
So
no
the
tax.
life insurance is very much a tax-free plan because of that. NHT is a tax-free plan. So you need both types of plans, the tax deductible and tax deferred, and you need the tax-free plans, including life insurance. So that's where life
Wow.
insurance comes in so important for you to understand that.
I love it. I love it. I love education. I
Yeah.
love education. I love knowledge. No, I would want to sit here and to listen, but Magdalena, I'd love this is a whole lot of information, and I'd love to split the session as usual into two.
Yes.
I'm outrightly inviting you back on next Sunday because we're all
Sure.
of 41 minutes. And
Yes.
I know persons don't like to watch a long video, and I'd love for them to get the information. So, the last question though, because I know someone is actually on here who is interested in this part, so I'm going to skip a couple of other questions and, of course, have them watching the video. I'm going to be circulating the video
Yes.
and make sure that they're on next week again. But for the companies, based on what is happening now in Jamaica, even worldwide with the pandemic, a lot of companies are winding up. For
Are
persons,
winding up?
yes,
Are winding up what?
closing down.
Closing down. Okay, closing down the companies. All right.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And of course, you have persons who are on these superannuation.
Superannuation funds. Yes.
I know you're waiting for it.
Yes. Superannuation funds.
This
Yes.
is a teacher at heart, guys. I have to speak what
Yes.
I've been taught. She will not allow you to go back.
No.
So,
No. 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 No.
how is it that they handle this? Because I know for persons, some will collect this lump sum, and
No.
I it, it's a
No.
re, it's a reality. But and that is one of the discussion I've been having.
No. Okay. So if you're in a company, an employer has a superannuation fund and they're winding up, and let's say due to the winding up of the company due to COVID, they might even make it redundancy to give you a redundancy amount. You move away with that, but you never touch or ask for a refund of your superannuation fund benefits. Why? More than likely, the fund has to wind up. When the fund winds up, the fund gives you your benefits in the event of.
Disability, old age, or death.
That's right. And on top of that, those funds, because may have been around for a very long time, also accumulate what is called surplus.
Yes.
So if when you're leaving, you sign a letter and say, "Give me back my money," because I want my money. They don't say, "Give me back my contributions." They say, "Give me back my money." If they say that and they take it back, then they usually forfeit the employer's contributions and benefits, which are sometimes equal.
Wow.
That's right.
But
Which are
that's not discussed.
exactly. I'm sorry, I sound so excited, but I don't want nobody else to lose benefits. I'm tired of hearing people losing benefits. And there's case
Wow.
law. There's case law on it. So if anybody who's coming to me, my clients know, my corporate clients and their employees know, don't come to me and tell me you are taking off your money or you're transferring it to ARS and the fund hasn't wound up. Don't come to me with that. You can come to me and say, "Magda, I have been making optional or voluntary contributions and I want to withdraw that versus my compulsory or basic contributions." No problem, because guess what? When you leave, in most of the rules, I'll have to even look at your rules before I even make the decision, give you the advice. But most of the rules will usually say that when you leave your basic or compulsory contributions, you are still a member of the plan. So when the plan winds up, you will still be able to get a portion.
Benefit.
Yes, and you get the portion. But anyhow, you terminate and you withdraw your contributions and you haven't read the rules, don't call me because I can't help you because the rules say take it back. There's a case law of a company, I think it's Gillette, and the case law showed where the company I think was closing down. So it's case law, so that's why I can talk about it. And it showed that when the company was closing down, a lot of the employees took their money back. Well, let me tell you, when those who took their money back heard that there was a surplus in the fund, they now wrote to the company and said, to the trustees and said, so where's my surplus? And the matter went to court. Guess how much they got? Nothing. Why?
Because
Because of the
they
rules of the plan said you are, if you take back all of your contributions, you forfeit the employer's contributions and there's none to get. 3 persons were left at the end of that plan. 3 persons were left at the end of that plan.
so
Three
it's the
of
owner.
them got all the surplus. Excuse me. I don't mean to be rude to anybody, but three, they have enough generational wealth to last for millions of years.
Wow.
So it is very, very important. And the nice thing about the new pensions legislation is that in the olden days when I joined the insurance industry, if you wanted to see the trusted and rules, you had to say, excuse me, can I take a little peep of the trusted and rules because you couldn't get a copy. In the new legislation, it is clear in the governance regulations that says if a member asks for a copy of the trustee and rules or the master trustee and rules, they have to be given it. It is no longer kept in a vault and only a couple of people can see it. And
Right.
I am
It's no
so
longer
glad for the new legislation. So
technology. Yes.
my apologies for going on like that, but I just don't want
No,
nobody else
I
to.
know you're passionate. I love it. Now we have some questions for you before we go. One of them is saying, so can the company's matching amount be deferred to another retirement plan?
No, I want that question to be restated to another approved retirement savings plan. Not just
You have
an
homework, Mr.
approved,
Bogle. Reword it.
yes, approved retirement savings plan. And I would say if you are in a superannuation fund, the only, and hear me out now, you can do whatever you want, but I'm telling you from experience, the only time that you transfer or, as you said, be deferred, not deferred, it's transfer. That's the word he needs to use. Be transferred. The only time you transfer is upon wind up.
Wind
You
up.
don't transfer before that. You don't transfer. If the fund is winding up, fine. The fund is not winding up, you leave the money right there, so. Because when retirement comes, if you when due to disability, old age, or death, if you are in a retirement scheme, you'll get benefits from the retirement scheme and the superannuation fund. If let me see what you put up.
There's
What if
another question.
Yes. So you need to understand this. Again, I make these statements based on general principles I've seen. At the end of the day, you need to get a copy of the trust deed and rules for the superannuation fund to be able to know exactly what it says. Because in
Yes.
some plans they have different types of vesting. So you might have immediate, gradual, or cliff, or you might have something which says another type of vesting. When I remember, I'll tell you. But if it has, it's on the tip of my tongue, I can't remember. If it has that type of vesting where if you take out your contributions after you're vested, you are still vested in the plan, then that's okay. But even
Right.
then, I would not say to transfer
We have to
into
know the
another plan.
provisions.
Right, you have to leave it right there until the plan either winds up or you get to disability, old age, or death. Last question: what if the company is at the pension wind up? You know you can't tell me that. You have to tell me superannuation fund. What if the company had the super? What if the company has a superannuation fund and is at the wind up stage? You can ask me the question like that. Along with surplus, what advice would you give? Very good question. You're talking here about a superannuation fund because a retirement schemes don't really wind up because of the nature of how they operate. If the superannuation fund is at wind up stage, I would say to you, one, when you get into wind up, the wind up usually addresses different categories of persons. First of all, it addresses those who have already been retired. It
Yes.
addresses those who are at at early, normal, or late retirement age. Then it addresses those who are disabled. Then it addresses the survivors of those who have died. And then it addresses those who are below the retirement ages. So you cannot make that decision, or I cannot tell you what to do until I see the
We
trust
see the
deed,
trust, yes.
and rules, plan documents. I cannot tell you what to do because in fact, I recently, because I have clients who are going through wind up as well. I have a client who did a wind up, and when the person came to me and asked me the same, employee came to me and asked me the same question, I said to him, "Okay, how old are you now?" He said, Magda, the early retirement age in that plan was 55 for men. He said, but next year, January, February, I'm going to be 55. I said, you turn right there, sir, and
Yes,
wait until next year.
maximum.
And then you claim your early retirement benefit. And he got a good benefit. So you can't have anybody, even myself, give you advice. I can tell you generally, and notice how I'm saying it again and again. I can tell you generally in answering that question, but I cannot give you a specific because I don't have the trusted and rules in front of me. I only
Awesome.
work with that. Yeah. Anyway, I get very excited about this topic. But the questions are so good. But I want
The
you all to
questions are
use,
good.
yes, I want you to
And
use
she'll be
the
back
right,
on next week.
yes, but I want you to use the right language, the correct terms. I want you to start practicing.
So next
Um,
week, guys, superannuation.
yes, fund or retirement scheme. Yes, yes,
Oh, wow, Magdalena, as usual, we could go on and on with your
yes.
extensive wealth of knowledge and your passion
Thank God.
for pension, for retirees, for planning,
Yes,
lifestyle, generational wealth, your
yes,
passion. And I
yes,
admire that so much. And I've had you on last year 3 times in a row. And I
yes,
have to keep this relationship going because I have learned a lot. And I understand that persons, even though they're not there yet, are really asking questions now
yes,
about retirement. Because
yes,
can you believe it? I'm in my birth month. And I was saying,
yes,
oh, I was celebrating my 44th birthday this month. Like
yes.
retirement was so far away.
Exactly,
I don't
exactly.
need that now. I don't need to think about that now. But think of
Yes,
an 18-year-old, and we calculated that retiring at 65, that's 47 years to contribute. Think about accumulating compound
that's
interest, all of
great.
that. Compare
Yes,
it to somebody who is
yes,
44 who have less time to accumulate that amount to retirement. Hence the
yes,
education, hence the knowledge, hence the passion. Because I've interviewed persons who have just retired 10 years ago, and the responses are the same. I wish I knew more. I wish I
yes,
contributed the maximum. I wish I had invested more. It is
yes,
not enough. It is not adequate. The responses are similar. And
yes,
these are even persons who are in the industry, who are into finance, who are into investing. They
yes,
were teaching you and not doing it for themselves.
yes,
So it's
yes,
not
yes,
just the audience who is in trouble, but you have
yes.
persons who are teaching, and we are not in a position to retire comfortably.
Mhm,
No, or if disability should occur or death. No,
mhm.
we want to make sure that we're educating the public and that you are using the relevant tools to achieve that. Now, of course, Paula said she'll be 50. Wow. So I am making sure that she's on next week, guys. You want to make sure that everybody is on. This lady don't have the time, and she has given us her time. She is paid for this. No, she has given us the time to be here to share and get your Bibles, guys. Apart from the Holy
Yes,
Bible, go on to www.moj.gov.jm. It's posted here to make sure that you're familiar with what you have access to. Your children at 18 years, NIS, Wednesday morning.
yes,
Wednesday
yes,
morning. Make
yes,
sure so not
yes,
only that we're packing the lines for vaccines, but we're getting our NIS sorted out.
yes,
So of
yes,
course,
yes.
Magdalena, as usual, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on, guys. Want to remind you to observe the protocols wearing
Yes.
of the mask, washing of the hands, watching the distance, and respect each other's space. No, I want
Yes.
you to stay 8 feet. Don't be offended. Not, just making sure I'm protecting myself and protecting you and protecting my family and clients by
Yes.
extension. Let us respect
Yes.
each other. And for those of you who have taken the vaccine, respect. For those of you who have not, respect due same way. Remember to
Yes.
stay strong and stay focused and stay safe. Last few words, Magdalena, until next week. Anything else for us to?
Yes, I see where Courtney has said fund is winding up. Now, whenever he's talking to me about a superannuation fund, he needs to put the F in a capital F.
Yes.
He cannot put it in a common F. He has to say capital FUND. And Newton, thank you so much. The info has been a blessing. Hope to see you next week. And thanks again, Shona, for inviting me. I really enjoyed this. We were only going to spend half an hour, and you see how the time has just gone.
It's an hour.
Thank everybody. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you guys. Walk good. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I so do intend to. Love you guys. Thank you for joining once again. Share the video. It's on the YouTube channel, guys, with your friends and your family. And see you next week, same time, right here on the Iconic Advisor channel at 4 p.m. Bye bye.